I get paid to do keynotes so that I can go and help people who deserve it. And so Mozambique was one where I don't get paid.
Okay.
I try to do one a month.
Yep.
And so this was about 400 kids between the ages of 18 and 25 who just wanted a bit of help.
Oh.
And so I went down and there was this young boy, and I say young, anybody under 50 is young. So he was 24 and he comes up to me and goes, I'm tired. I was like, you're tired? I flew here from... So I said, he said, I'm tired of putting my hand out. I'm tired of my country putting their hand out. I'm tired of my continent putting our hand out and the world thinking they owe us a buck. And he says, I want to reframe the challenge. So I said, okay. So we sat down and we came up with a hashtag, You Need Us. And we came up with a video, we came up with a logo, we came up with...
Wow.
And by the time I'd left, the guy was like, weeping.
And you were there for one day?
Yeah. And it was like, you know what? So somebody said, was it worth it? Because it's a pig of a flight. I was like, yeah, it was worth it.
Wow.
And I hugged more people than I've hugged in my life. It was fantastic. They're so huggable.
Oh, I love it. That's awesome.
It was very cool.
Yes.
And you know, Catherine and Rebecca were remarkably kind because I was supposed to come to engage in Ireland.
Okay.
And I got a call from a lady in Australia. She said, would you come help here? And it was 3 weeks, 1,000 charities.
Wow.
Didn't get paid. So I phoned Catherine and Rebecca and said, look, this is what I've been asked to do. I will come if I've made my commitment to you. And they said, no, go. And so off I went. And so to give you perspective, there was this one lady, she was 78, right? She helps not reclaim, that's the wrong word, put koalas back into the wild who have been displaced from deforestation. Yes. She hand knits those hand knit koalas. She makes them, right? That's how she raises money. And so, but the passion with which this woman talks about what she does, she's 78, but she talks like a 16-year-old. And so those are the ones I like to do because they're just such rewarding things. So yeah, and so then it was 18 hours from Johannesburg to Atlanta.
Wow. That's crazy. And now we're here in beautiful Cabo.
Yes.
We've been at Engage Conference.
Yep.
It's been amazing. We really loved hearing you speak.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, it was
Thank you.
wonderful. And we'd love to dive in a little deeper.
Sure.
Will you tell us a little bit about your background?
Born a long time ago.
Okay.
Born a very long time ago.
Yes.
I was born in the Toy Story era. So have you seen Toy Story?
Yes.
So what's brilliant about Pixar is their films, they're not just storytelling, they're insightful stories. Okay. So when I grew up, man had not landed on the moon. Yes, I'm a dinosaur. So when I was a kid, it was Davy Crockett, it was the Lone Ranger. I was going to be a cowboy. Everybody was going to be a cowboy. And then one small step for man, one giant leap for, and you're like, shit, okay, I need to be an astronaut. And that's how the film was written, by a man my age who, so when you were a little girl, did you have monsters in your closet or under the bed when you were going to bed? Where were they? Did you have monsters? In your imagination, you didn't have monsters? Oh, no. Did you have monsters? See, we all have monsters in the closet. That's how the film came about. I mean, they're so. Have you seen Inside Out?
I have.
Right.
Yes,
so, okay.
I love Inside Out.
Right. So, is your day partly driven by joy?
Yes.
Partly by anger?
Yes.
Partly by fear?
Yeah.
And partly by disgust?
Yes.
Right. So it's just so insightfully written. I can't remember what the question was now. And so, so I was lucky enough to work with the people at Pixar. I started in Disney in the 80s. I was a coffee boy. Actually, I started at, have you ever been to Epcot?
Yes.
Okay. So have you been to the Mexican Pavilion?
Yes.
And the British Pavilion? That's where I met my wife.
Oh.
So she was an Aztec goddess.
Okay.
I was a barman in the Rose and Crown pub. That's where we met 30 years ago. So we've been married 30 years. And so I went back to London.
Wait, how did you get to Epcot, first of all?
Oh, so I was looking on the notice board at university. This was my first job. And so there was a picture of Mickey Mouse on the notice board. I was like, wow, what's that about? So I went on to the interview, and first they presented, you could come and represent your country for a year. And then you go into an interview, and it was like American Idol. They were sitting at the far end of the room, and you had to walk all the way up. Yeah. And it was one of those skirted tables. You know how they skirt the tables?
Yes.
And so there was a lady called Becky there, and I'd never met Becky before. We're good friends now.
Aww.
But so we did the interview, and at the end of the, don't forget, this is the first American person I've ever met.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the interview, Becky stands up to say goodbye. Yeah, well, Becky is from Texas. Becky is 6'5", and I was like, oh my God, they can't all be that tall. And so, so got a job to come out to Epcot for the year. Okay. Worked in the Rose and Crown pub. Best job I ever had. It paid gratuities.
Wow. And did you meet your wife that year?
Yes, at a Halloween party. I was Rod Stewart and she was Wee Willie Winky.
Oh,
And so went back to London.
Yes.
Disney had 6 people in London in 87. And so called the London office every day for 27 days till they got fed up of taking my phone call.
Okay.
So I was asked to come in for a half-hour interview, and I became coffee boy. That was my first job. I went and got 6 cappuccinos a day and I folded press kits. That's all I did. And that's how I got into public relations, by folding press kits. And then grew up through the ranks doing crazy shit. And I loved it. It was the ability, I liked public relations because it was the ability to, advertising got what they wanted because they paid for it.
Yep.
Promotions got 50% of what they wanted because they were giving something away.
Okay.
PR was the ability to walk in the door, have some stupidly outrageous idea and then go, I could do this. And so, first gig, I was character coordinator for Who Framed Roger Rabbit at the royal premiere of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Bob Hoskins, and it was the Odeon Leicester Square in the presence of the Princess of Wales, Diana.
Wow.
And so, but I didn't know what a character coordinator was. I'd only been on the job 3 weeks.
Yeah.
They said, you be the character coordinator. You're like, okay. So I said, what do I do? And they said, well, you just look after the character. Make sure that he doesn't pass out, hurt himself. I said, okay, man. So we met with the royal protocol officers. They're very strict about what you can and cannot do around the Princess of Wales.
Okay.
You may not approach the Princess of Wales. If the Princess of Wales approaches you, you may not extend your hand. If she extends her hand, you may extend your hand, but don't shake her hand, touch her hand. I was like, what? And he goes, well, if she shakes 50,000 hands a day, I was like, okay, I got it.
I understand.
So all I had to do was stand at the bottom of the sweeping staircase, right? Roger's going to come down. Princess of Wales is going to come through the receiving line. If she chooses to come and interact with Roger, great. If she goes into the theatre, fine. So, okay, how could you possibly? So this was the day when I learned you have a backup plan for backup. Disney is masterful of having a contingency of a contingency of a contingency.
Yes.
Because I had no contingency. Because what could possibly go wrong, right? So,
Right.
so I'm standing at the bottom of the stairs, and in comes Princess Diana, and she turns at the end of the receiving line to walk towards Roger. Roger is now bouncing down the stairs, as rabbits do, right? Rabbits bounce. Well, contingency that I should have spotted, but I hadn't. Is the average step is what, that wide?
Yeah.
Yeah. Rabbit feet?
No.
Yes. 6 steps to go. Roger trips over his feet and he now goes straight through the air towards the Princess of Wales. Whereupon 2 royal security officers came out of nowhere. Yeah, they took him out. I mean, they took him out. So here's Roger, right, on the floor.
Just
like this,
Roger.
with 2 Secret Service officers on top of him.
Oh my god.
Guns drawn. This was not good. And so I was like, fuck. I'm fired on my 3rd day in the office.
Wow.
And so, but Disney liked the picture because that's kind of what Roger was supposed to do, right? So,
Okay,
so I was like, okay, all right.
That works.
If that works,
picture?
what else can we do?
Yeah.
So I took a Mickey Mouse hot air balloon into Moscow in 1987. It was a year before the Berlin Wall came down.
Okay.
So it was still the Soviet Union.
Yes.
We have permission to be there.
Yes.
And so we're tethered in a hot air balloon, which means you're tied to the ground, but the rope's up and you're up at 800 feet.
Okay.
In this huge symbol of American capitalism. And so I'm up there with the pilot. And I didn't realize, common sense would suggest, but I have none, as my mother would tell you, that you go where the wind takes you. I didn't know that. I just thought the pilot moves. No.
Took you.
No.
Yeah.
So the wind takes off. We shoot over the walls of the Kremlin. I was like, okay, this isn't good. So lots of shouting, probably words like get down now. And so we descended behind the walls of the Kremlin. I was petrified. I thought, we're never going to see our families again. This is, I mean, seriously. And these guards, just like in the movies, right? The big furry hats and the Kalashnikovs come running towards the balloon. They're not smiling. You're like, oh shit.
We're in trouble now.
Do you know what they wanted?
What?
They wanted a picture of Mickey Mouse.
No way.
That's when you realize the power of the brand. You're like,
yes.
okay,
Wow.
got out of this one. And so, and then it just went on from there. I sent my son's Buzz Lightyear, a little 18-inch doll, into space. He served 18 months on the International Space Station, and he's now in the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum. And it says James on the bottom of his foot, because it is in fact James's Buzz Lightyear.
Oh.
So I did that for, God knows, I don't know, the first 20. And then I got a call from the chairman. He said, right, you're the guy with all the mad ideas. You're in charge of innovation. You're like, well, what the hell's that? And so didn't have a clue what I was doing. I mean, not a clue. So we surveyed 5,000 people. Pixar, Lucasfilms, Marvel, Disney, ABC. What were the barriers to being more innovative and creative at work? Yeah. Found 5. Time. Lack thereof, time to think. Number 1, still the biggest barrier to innovation. Consumer insight underused. most organizations say they're consumer centric, and then if you ask them, put your hands up if you've ever spent the day in the house of one of your consumers, nobody puts their hands up, then guess what? You're not consumer centric. Ideas get stuck, diluted, or killed, because it's easy to have big ideas. Getting them done, on the other hand, not so much.
Yes.
No one had a common definition of innovation, so we were all going in different directions, and we're risk averse because we have quarterly results. So those are the big five.
Okay.
So
what'd you do about them?
So that was part one. Part two, I went on lots of conferences and seminars to learn from the gurus.
Yep.
And I found, I call them the hallelujah speakers, that, life is good, you're good, everything's great, you're going to be great. But they don't leave you with anything tangible. Yes. I was like, okay, this isn't good.
No action steps.
No, so I would hire some of the big consultancies who were very good at what they did, but they too would not show you how they did it because you wouldn't hire them again. I was like, okay, what have we learned? Nothing.
Right.
And I said, what if we created a toolkit that normal people could use to think differently? And so did that for a few years. And then about a year ago, I thought, you know what, if I could do this for the world's most creative company, what could I do for everybody else? So last year I got the thank you for 30 magical years of service. Everybody stays for Tinkerbell. You get her for 25.
Okay.
Stunning statue.
You get her for
everybody.
25.
Oh yeah, Tinkerbell. And then, but for 30 you get Jiminy Cricket.
Okay.
And it says thank you for 30. And I looked at it and thought, shit, I'm going to be dead soon. That was the first thing. I know I shouldn't have thought that. But I was like, and then I got my life insurance policy the same week, and it pretty much said, yeah, 74, you're out. I was like, wow, thanks. So I thought, okay, 2/3 of the way through, I should do something different. And so there's a gap in the market. The consultancies will not help you innovate. They'll run an innovation project for you, and they'll come up with a great recommendation, but they're not going to show you how to do it. And I thought, what if I could help people with the how to do it? Innovation was trendy 10 years ago. Everybody got to have an innovation department. That's how mine was formed.
Okay.
And then people realized innovation for the legacy brands, the Fords, the Cokes, the big companies. Now it's about survival. And oh God, yes. Oh, these people are going. Oh, so you saw Sears go this year, right?
Yeah.
You saw Toys R Us go this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. You'll see a minimum of 20 go a year, every year for the next 10 years, of brands that you've grown up with since you were a little girl and thought they could never possibly die. They're all going.
Why?
You've got three things. Artificial intelligence is coming. I've spoken next to Sophia twice this year. You should Google her afterwards. When you see Sophia in the movies like iRobot, she's not intimidating because it's the movie.
Right.
Yeah, try having a conversation with her.
It's real.
Yeah, it's very real. They say she'll be 5,000 times more intelligent than the human race by the year 2025, which is only 7 years from now. So you're like, okay, how are you going to compete with that, right? So that's one. Number two is most brands are still stuck in the we build it, they will come. Because from 1900 to 2010, business was we build it, you will come. I'll make sugary drinks in a red and silver can that will make you fat and obese.
Yeah.
And you will buy it. And that worked for 110. I'll make big cars that guzzle gas. You will buy them. I'll build theme parks. You'll buy them. And so it worked. And so the problem is it doesn't work that way anymore. Now it's about what's important to the consumer. But for most companies, their C-suite still worked during the good old days where we build it, they will come. And so they're having a really hard time becoming consumer-centric. And then the last one that I think is the biggest one that people aren't watching as much is Generation Z. They're coming up underneath the millennials. They care more about purpose than profit. And if you care more about quarterly results, I don't care how big you are. I don't care how much profit you've, because they don't care. So my daughter graduated university in March, April. She just got her first job. But for 4 months, she didn't have a job.
Where'd you go?
Manhattan.
Okay.
So it's like, Dad's like, but she had a list of 72 companies she wouldn't work for. It's like, wow. Because they don't have a purpose. And most companies don't have, and they think, oh, right, let's get a charity. No, what do you stand for?
You're not passionate about that.
So,
it's not your purpose.
I mean, Starbucks, right?
Yeah.
Not the world's greatest coffee, let's be honest, and I'm being really polite here. And I'm bitter because they spelt my name Dunkin every day for the last 15 years. Come on, I'm not Dunkin' Donuts. Their coffee isn't the greatest coffee on the planet, but they have a purpose. They're all around community, and they do it really well. Here we go. So you got an iPhone?
I do.
So, have you ever stood next to somebody with a Samsung when you're at a concert and they're taking a picture and you're taking a picture and yours is crap and theirs is just genius? And you're like, come on. So why do we continue to buy a product that isn't as good as that? Because we bought into their purpose. Apple said, we will help the world think differently. Think different. How will we do that? By creating great products and services. Companies like Dell said, we'll make computers. Well, there's no purpose there. And so they're not, and so who's doing better, Apple or Dell? I mean, you've got Ford. Ford make cars. They've made them since the year 1900, and they're really good at it.
Yeah.
Well, now Apple and Google have stepped into the market and said, we don't know how to make cars. And so they're not constrained by all the rules that Ford is. Because Ford is, we got to have a steering wheel, and Apple and Google are like, no, you don't.
Wow.
And so who do you think will survive 10 years from today?
Right.
So it's, I told the story yesterday about purpose for me is, I did some work for a leading tool company. And they asked me to talk about innovation.
Okay.
Me, DIY? No. Changed the light bulb 20 years ago. It was a disaster. So I went down, consumer-centric, I went down to Home Depot and Lowe's and hung out in the aisle like some really creepy dude. Scared the living daylights out of a lot of people. And I just listened and watched their consumer at the point of purchase, that decision-making moment. And I went back and I talked to them. I said, look, people are not talking about your brand. They're not talking about the product, the hammer, the chisel, or the saw. They're not talking about the price point. What they're talking about amongst themselves, very excitedly and animatedly, is we're going to build our dream bathroom. Oh, we're going to do our dream kitchen, our dream living room, our dream house. And so I said to them, I said, your purpose, if you choose to accept it, is you could be the brand who helps people build their dreams. Wow, come on.
That's huge.
You could go buy Habitat for Humanity tomorrow.
Yes.
Right? Own it.
Yes.
Do it. And I said, if you're the brand who can help people build their dreams, what other lines of business could you get into that you're not into today? And potentially, eventually, get out of the tool industry. And they looked at me like, why? Why would we want to get out of the tool industry? It's like, well, this is easy. Tools. So they're printing houses in Texas today on a 3D printer, right? 10 years from today, you will buy that dress on Amazon. You'll buy the pattern and you will print it at home. 10 years from today. 10 years from today, you will print this at home. 10 years from today, we're going to print this at home, we'll print this at home, we'll print this at home. If you can print now.
No way.
Now, I say 10 years, maybe it's 15. I don't know the answer.
That's crazy.
So
I haven't even thought about that.
20% of, well, so think about it from Amazon's point of view, right? Now they save on production.
Yeah.
Now they save on shipping. Now they save on storage. They'll give you the 3D printer for free, for God's sake. Anything that's bigger like this that you can't print at home, you'll go to your local printer, you'll push the button, boop, up pops the chair. So if you can make, 20% of what you buy on Amazon today, somewhere between 10 and 15 years from today, you'll print it at home. You'll print jewelry at home 15 years from today. So if you can print anything you want on demand 15 years from today, what will you make with a hammer?
Right.
What will you make with a saw? No, that industry will not exist 10 years from today. I say 10, maybe it's 15. But because they're maniacally focused on their 2% profit margins in quarterly results, they're not looking at Generation Z, and they don't have a purpose, and they will be gone.
Wow. Wow, Duncan, you just blew my mind.
So they're so maniacal. The problem is, Wall Street has driven quarterly results, and we're all so obsessed with quarterly results that we're looking at the next 3 months. Well, what about the next 10 years? Well, we can't do that right now because we're focused on our quarterly results.
Right. Yeah, it's over.
It's quite exciting. It's quite terrifying at the same time.
How do you think, okay, so for small business owners, entrepreneurs, how do they bring innovation, creativity in their business? How are they looking forward to avoid these pitfalls?
It's really easy. It's really easy. So when you were a little girl, and you got the big Christmas present, and it came in the massive box, and you got the toy out of the box.
Yes.
What did you spend the rest of the day playing with?
The toy and the box.
Okay, all right. Why the box? Why did you play with the box?
Because it's fun. You can get in it and you can pretend
and what
you're in
was
a car.
It? Ah, right.
Pretend.
So it was a car.
Imagination.
Right. What else was it? A car. What else?
It was a car. It was a house. It was
a rocket ship.
Yeah,
it was a fort. It was So it could be anything. It could be anything. And then at about the age of 6, because I asked people, when was the last time you saw the rocket ship, the house, the fort? And people will go, 6. Well, what happened at 6? You went to school, and the teacher said, it's a box. You're like, wow, all your imagination created, wow, right? And so as we grow up, so children think expansively. Yeah. They always think, how might we, right? They make mud pies. I don't know if you ever tried one. I tried one once. It wasn't that good. And so children just think about so they're very curious.
Yes.
What question do they ask?
Why?
And the one after that?
Why?
And the one after that?
Why?
Right. We're taught, when we go to school and then we get a job, we're taught there's only one right answer. So we stop asking the second why. The insight comes on about the 4th or 5th why. So, and that's how children learn, but we stop because we're told, oh no, there's only one right answer.
Right.
If you ask a consumer, Why do you go to a Disney park? They'll tell you, I go for the rides. I go for Space Mountain. Well, that would tell you to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on new capital investment. But if you say, well, why do you go for the rides? Well, I really like Small World. Well, why do you like Small World? Oh, well, I used to go with my mum. Well, why is that important? Well, I take my daughter now. We're building memories. And you're like, well, hang on a minute. It's got nothing to do with the capital investment at all. It's all a campaign around nostalgia and memories. But you would have gone completely the wrong direction if you stopped on the first why. We're born curious, right? We're born with an amazing imagination. Look, what did you the fort, the rocket ship, the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
So born curious, born with imagination, creative. Every child is born creative, right? I mean, I watched this little girl in the supermarket last week. Her mother was paying. She was 2 or 3. She was about 6 paces behind mum. I don't know where she was in her head. You could just see it. I was like, okay, you just wanted to stop. Oh, it would have been a bit creepy, but you just wanted to say, are you a unicorn right now or a princess? Because you could just see she was like so far out there, right? She was out there. And so now, have you ever stared at the back of the head of somebody who's really hot, really good looking, and they immediately turned around and stared back at you and you had to blush and look away really quickly?
My wonderful husband.
Well, there we are, see? So how did they know you were looking at them, right? So here, intuition. We're all born with it. It's called your second brain. If you Google it, because I didn't believe it, you have 6 billion neurons here. Mm-hmm. You have more there. It's called the second brain. I believe it's the first. So think about this dress, okay?
Okay.
That was a rational decision or you went with your gut?
Both.
Oh, sure, yeah, rational, my ass, right? So the meal you eat, the place you go on holiday, the wedding you choose, the destination you choose, the wedding planner you choose, the flowers you choose, the dress you choose.
That's all.
There or there?
Okay.
No, right,
Yeah.
right? It's a very powerful tool. People ignore it. So here's good news, because I frightened everybody with Sophia earlier on. Yes, she'll be 65,000 times more intelligent, 5,000 times more intelligent. I don't think it'll make any difference at that point. Here's where we will compete. You can't program creativity. If you ask Sophia, can you paint Mona Lisa? She'll paint it better than Leonardo da Vinci, but she wouldn't know what to paint unless you programmed it. You can't program creativity. You can't program imagination. You can't program intuition. And you can't program curiosity. So the 4 skill sets that we're actually born with, that we're all really good at, the problem is somewhere in your life, usually about the age of 6, 12, somebody says, you're a lawyer, you're not creative. You're in marketing, you're in sales, you're not creative. You are in operations, you're not creative. You're a wedding planner, you're not creative. You're a design, you're not creative. The creatives are over here. Oh, such bullshit. I'm so fed up of hearing that. The great news is in this industry, when I asked who's creative, like everybody put their hand up. But most of us are told we're not.
Okay.
And we're told it so often that eventually we think, oh, I'm not creative. You're like, duh. And if you ask people to put their hands up if you're creative, 10% will put their hand up. Except at Engage, where it's 100%. But normally not many. But then if you just reframe the question and ask them, hey, who here was a child once? They're like, oh, yeah, me. And so we're all born, so you're born with intuition, curiosity, imagination, creativity. Those 4 skill sets will become the strongest 4 skill sets in the next decade. Why? Because you can't program them. You can program strategic thinking, you can program critical thinking, you can program planning, you can program finance, so lawyers.
All of that will be programmed.
Yes, so for example, take the legal industry, okay? Right now, if you're a lawyer, if you're at the top of your game, let's say you know 500 precedents. I bet you don't, but let's say you did, right? Okay. And she's gonna know every single one. Well, who's gonna win that argument? Right, so certain professions, although the lawyer's a genius, right? They'll make her illegal. But the 4 skill sets we're born with will become the strongest, most employable skill sets in the next decade because you can't program.
Wow.
So it doesn't matter how small a business you are.
Right. Go back to that instead of thinking about the knowledge or the other things.
Yeah.
Go back to those.
And look at what you've seen here in the last 3 days, right?
Yeah.
The floral so typical Duncan, typical male, no observation skills whatsoever. So last night I walked past Frida 10 times before my wife goes, you realize that's Frida? I was like, oh yeah, did you see this last night?
Yes, it was amazing.
Well, I walked past it 20 times.
Oh my
And I was
gosh.
like, oh, look, it's Frida. She goes, really? But look at the creativity in that, right? No, robots? No, they're not going to do that.
No.
By the way, so I also saw last night, if you've never seen it before, Frida Kahlo and a bunch of mariachis doing Sweet Home Alabama.
Oh, wow.
Okay, you can't program that.
Wow, that's pretty good. It's pretty good. I love it. We know you've traveled a lot. You've been to many places. You've lived in many places.
Yeah.
What's your favorite place in the world?
Home,
Home. Where's home?
a tiny village in the Highlands of Scotland.
Okay.
Population 54 people. Home is where your heart lies. My heart belongs to Scotland.
And do you have a home there as well? Or no?
I've got a pub, and
Okay.
that is in fact better than a home.
What's your pub? Where's your pub? Can
It's
I
called
visit?
the Ranachmore Hotel.
Okay.
It has seats for 5.
There you go. I love it. I love it. As an entrepreneur running your own business, what would you say has been your largest struggle? Have you had any?
Oh God, yes. Yes, so I called it the Cliff of Doom.
Okay.
So I left last August, so
Yep.
just over a year ago, and I had 2 kids in college, one out-of-state tuition, medical insurance. I went from the Disney corporate plan of $740 a month to $2,500. So that would be a struggle. I mean, if medical insurance is bigger than your mortgage, something is wrong with the system. Seriously.
Right.
But that's another different story.
Right.
We won't digress on that.
Okay.
I called it the Cliff of Doom. And the Cliff of Doom for me was 15 days out. I was like, okay, I have no income 15 days from today. And that was really frightening. And so, but that makes you alive again. So I left partially because I saw that gap in the market, but partially because I was going through the motions. It doesn't matter what you do. Once you've done it enough,
Yep.
you're going through the motions. And so still have the Cliff of Doom. It's still there.
Yep.
And so I can tell you, because in the speaking and workshop industry, we like to think people plan ahead. They don't. And so most people are like, oh, what are you doing next Wednesday? You're like, guess what? I'm booked. The Cliff of Doom is getting further out,
Yes.
but it's still there. So when I worked for a company, I knew I had an income every Thursday. Now, I don't know. But it keeps you alive. It keeps you fresh. So I wake up 50% terrified, 50% excited, and that's a good place to be.
It is a good place to be.
Yeah, it is.
I also read that you have a creative problem-solving process.
I do.
Can you tell us a little bit about
Yeah,
that?
it was. It's about making innovation tangible. Innovation. What is innovation? What is creativity? And for most people, it's too ethereal.
Yeah.
And so I took the best of what some of the big design thinking companies do, like IDEO, and other companies like IDEO, and I modeled. It's a design thinking approach, which means it starts with the consumer, not you, the company. What's important to the consumer, and just by simply spending time with the consumer, like the tools. When I spent time with them, but it's about giving people simple tools. People are busy enough, they're stressed enough, they've got shit to do. If you can give them tools that enables them to think differently like that, because for most of us, the more experience we have and the more expertise we have, the more reasons we know why a new idea won't work. And we don't even consider it. But if I could just stop you and put you on pause for a second. So an easy one, how to re-express a challenge. So Walt Disney said on July 17th, 1955, and he created a level of guest service that's never been replicated, never been duplicated, everybody tries. All he did was said, hey, guess what? We won't have any customers in our park. We'll only have guests. Now think about where you go when you're treated as a customer and how you feel, and where you go when you're treated as a guest and how that makes you feel, right? Boom. And he also said, we're not gonna have any employees. We'll only have cast members. They'll be cast for a role in the show. That simple re-expression. So to bring it down, I was I talked about this the other day. I went up to an office in New York about 6 months ago, met this young lady behind the reception desk. We were just having a natter.
Yeah.
And I went upstairs and I said, hey, your receptionist, she's delightful. She's the most empathetic, friendly, gorgeous. How long were you talking to her for? I said, oh, about 15 minutes. And he goes, well, that's odd. I said, well, why is that odd? He goes, well, we don't have a receptionist, Duncan. I was like, oh shit, who the hell was I talking to?
Wait.
And so I said, well, her name was Sarah. It was a summer dress because it had cut off sleeves and a pleated cream skirt. And he said, oh, Sarah. He said, no. She's our director of first impressions. And it's like, mind blown, right? So all he had done was re-express her form of employment. And so instead of being a receptionist, she's director of first impressions. And so own the space she did. And it's that simple re-expression. So, okay, so I'm opening a car wash. Tell me 5 things I have to put in it.
You have to.
Essential things. What do you got to have in a car wash?
You gotta have soap.
Soap.
You have to have scrubbers.
Scrubbers.
You have to have soap and scrubbers.
Soap and scrubbers.
Dryer.
Water.
Water.
Maybe bucket.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
All right. Okay. Eliminate that. An auto spa. Now, what could you put in your spa?
Oh. You could put in scents.
Scent.
Aroma. You could put in like the waxing.
Waxing. Is that for the people or the cars? Barista.
Yes.
Masseuse.
Yes.
Mani-pedi.
Yes.
So suddenly, in less than 60 seconds, I got you out of your river of thinking, your knowledge of what you know to be in a car wash, to think about what you could consider in an auto spa. It's actually the same product. Which one would you rather visit?
The spa.
Duh. And so, look, it's about Reexpress. So, for example, in the wedding industry, here's another tool. It's called What If? Genius. List the rules of a wedding. Must have a bride. Must have a groom, or two grooms, two brides, doesn't matter. Must have flowers.
Yes.
Must have tables. Must have a reception. Must have a receiving list. Must have a guest list. Must have food. Must have a venue. Must have entertainment. Okay?
Yeah.
Or must have fireworks, right?
Mm-hmm.
We finished the event last night with fabulous fireworks, right? Okay. What if there were no fireworks? Or what if you could do indoor fireworks, right? Well, imagine a world where I might make that work. Or what if I could do environmentally sustainable fireworks? What if the fireworks could spell out the name of the bride and groom? So list the rules of your challenge as quickly as you can, like guest list, blah, 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 blah. Ask the most absurd what if questions. One of those will spark an idea. So you say, well, what if the fireworks could spell out the name of the bride and groom? Well, wait a minute, drones. I don't know if you saw it on America's Got Talent. They've already done a drone show indoors with these, the drones were this big. Right. So if you've got drones that big, right?
Yes.
So suddenly I have environment. So instead of I think about the rules, I have to spend money.
Right.
The rules are I can't use the firework again. Well, no, yes you can. Right. So now you could use the fireworks Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So sustainable, no noise pollution. So suddenly I could have fireworks where I might not traditionally be able to do fireworks because the neighbors, right?
Yeah.
I can use them time and time again, and I can spell out the name of the bride and groom in the sky, and I can say congratulations, Barry and Sarah.
Yes.
Oh, come on.
That's so good.
Fireworks industry will be gone in less than 5 years.
Wow.
Of course it will.
Wow.
Right? But just by simply using what if, you completely re-express your challenge. So I said to the young man, he was like me. He's the coffee boy at this hotel, right?
Yes.
He's in charge of PR. I said, look, on New Year's Eve, the first image you're going to see is the Sydney Opera House. We all know, and it'll be fantastic.
Yes.
Then you'll see the Manila Tower, and then you'll probably see Hong Kong, and then you're going to see the Eiffel Tower, because you've got to see the Eiffel Tower.
Yes.
Then you'll hear bong, 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 then you'll see Big Ben. And I said, what if this hotel was the first hotel? You can't compete with the Sydney Opera House, right?
Right.
Although the architecture is pretty cool, but not that cool.
No.
And it's Australia, so it's sexy. And it's the Eiffel Tower, so it's for love.
Yes.
But what if your venue was the first venue to do the world's first sustainable New Year's Eve fireworks show? You don't think you'll be on the news? Yeah, you will. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a very simple tool.
love
There's
it.
loads of them, just to help people think. Playfulness. If you ask people, where are you when you get your best ideas?
I am in the shower. Number one.
By the way, have you tried have you had the
eyes.
courage to try the outdoor shower? I can't do it.
I have it.
I can't do it. I can't do it. I've opened the door and peeked through it. I'm like, no, I can't do this. I
You should
there,
do it.
There are
Go
drones. There are
on.
drones. The hummingbird's looking at me. Is that a drone or a hummingbird? Where the hell was it? Oh, so playfulness. If you ask people, where are you when you get your best ideas? They're going to say shower, walking the dog, running, jogging, gym, drinking coffee, listening to music, commuting, driving. Nobody says at work. Nobody. You're like, shit, I was paid to have big ideas at work. And so if you ask people about that last big argument they were in and what happened, we did it with a group the other day. I said, what happened 5 minutes after the argument? And this woman goes, ooh, the thing I should have said. I was like, yeah, the killer one-liner. The one line you wished you'd used during the argument that always comes to you 5 minutes later. That perfect killer shit, if I'd have said that. Because when you're in the argument, your brain is busy. When you're in the office, your brain is busy. And you hear yourself say, I don't have time to think. And when I don't have time to think, I can't come up with a killer one-liner.
New idea.
And I can't come up with a big idea. And so one of the simple tools is giving yourselves time to think. None of us do. We do our emails, we do our presentations, we meet our clients, we blah, 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 blah. No time to think.
We're so busy.
Number one barrier to innovation, time to think. If I were to ask you to name 5 of the most innovative companies in the world, chances are one of the ones you would say is Google. Okay, so what does Google do that makes them so innovative?
Yeah.
Guess what? Rocket science. They give their employees time to think. It's called, what is it called? It's 20% time. They get 20% of their day where they're just given time to think.
Really?
And by the way, that came out with Gmail, Google Goggles, Google Maps, and Google Glasses, and self-driving cars. So not a bad return on investment. Now, as an entrepreneur and a small team, could you really take 1 day a week time to think? No, you can't. But what if you took 1 day a month as your small team, and the only rule you had was no emails, no presentations, no meetings? Try it, see if it works.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. That is a very tangible.
The other one is, I love yes and. Oh, right, come on, let's do this. So.
Oh, I'm nervous.
No, no. We're going to have an idea for tonight's party,
okay.
right? And I'm going to come at you with some ideas.
Okay.
All I want you to start your sentences is with no because, and give me any reason you want as to why we shouldn't do it, okay?
Okay.
All right, so, great venue, magnificent. Whales. Yes, we're going to do a whale party out in the ocean, and we'll actually be on the whales.
No, because it's too far.
Okay, so what if we had audio animatronic whales, and we could have them inside the little spa pool here, the infinity pool?
No, because they wouldn't be real whales.
Okay, so, gosh, what if we created, so forget that, we'll do an intergalactic food and wine festival.
No, because we really want to focus on the ocean.
Okay, so, now we're going to do it a different way.
Okay.
Yeah, yes and we'll build it together.
Okay.
An intergalactic food and wine festival.
Yes, and
what do you want it to be?
And I want it to be filled with desserts.
Ooh, yes,
Yeah.
and the entire infinity pool could be a Death Star margarita.
Yes, can we put flowers in it too?
Yes, and we could have glow-in-the-dark lightsabers, and they could be full of tequila.
Yes, and we could have fountains full of chocolate.
See, so in less than 60 seconds,
Yeah.
we went from an idea that started here and went down, boom, right? The second idea, did it get bigger or smaller?
It got bigger.
Right. Normally, if you do this, you'll hear laughter.
Yeah.
You'll see people use their hands for the first time.
Yeah.
We'll all go over budget. You can always take a big idea, the fountain's full of chocolate, and value engineer it down.
Yep.
But you can't take a small crap idea and make it big. Simply by using yes and. When we'd finished building that idea, the last one, whose idea was it?
It was our idea.
Bingo. When you're pitching a client on business, when you're pitching a client on your ideas, the moment you can transfer power of my idea to our idea is the moment you can accelerate its opportunity to get done. We've all had hundreds of ideas that never got done.
Right.
But it's that transfer of power of mine to ours. And simply by using yes and, you make the idea bigger, not smaller. And you transfer power of my idea to our idea. The other thing is we tend to think reductively because we're adults, but simply by using yes and for a minute, you just free yourself to think of other things. The other thing you can say is, particularly if you think you're a no becauser yourself, we tend to be, right? Or if you're surrounded by no becauses, I hate no becauses, just reframe your question and say, how might we? The moment you say how might we, people will go, how might we? How could we do that? As opposed to, do you think we could do it? No, we don't. No, we can't.
Right.
Just say, how might we?
Instead,
It just gets the reductionist to start thinking expansionist.
I love that. I'm a yes person all the way. I only want
good.
to hear yes. I only want to say yes. I love yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other thing, when you're ideating,
Yes.
never in more than 4,
Okay.
never 5, never 3. So
Why?
if we're a group of 4, right, I have to sit like this, right?
Okay.
I can't dodge you.
Right.
If I'm in a group of 3 or 5, I don't have to make eye contact with you. I can look between the two of you, right? As an introvert, I don't have to participate. You have 2 types of, are you an extrovert or an introvert?
I'm an extrovert.
Okay, so you talk before you think.
Yeah.
Own it, girl, own
Yeah.
it. I like to say I talk as I think, but I know that's a total lie. And then you have the introverts, those frightening people who think first.
Yeah. What? What?
Right, so
Why?
who do you think has the best idea?
People who think first.
You'd
But they're probably not going to say it.
Well, see, but you both do. But if only, so in most organizations, you've got 30% extroverts, 70% introverts. But if you don't hear from 70% of the team, right now, Pixar, probably the single most creative company on the world,
Yeah.
100% introverts. 100%, you can hear a pin drop in Pixar. But if you can't get it out of them, but simply by sitting in a group of 4, you can control the energy. If you're knee to knee like we are now, there'll be 2 more people.
Yep.
It's very hard to say no when somebody's sitting right there because they might punch you up. When you no, but you don't. It metaphorically
You feel
makes
it.
yes and so. But I can control. So if you're the extrovert and you're doing all the talking, and Sally's over here, she hasn't said a word yet. I'm just going to go. So Sally, where do you think we should do that? You can't play anymore, right?
Right.
Or if you and Sally are going at it and Douglas hasn't said a word, I'm just going to lean straight in and I'll ask Douglas a question. So I'll bring the introvert. Once you get the introvert going, you can't stop them, but you got to get them in. Groups of 4 are little magical circles. It works every time.
I love that. I love this. So many good, tangible things that we can start doing today.
And drink more.
Amazing. Okay.
Drink more.
Okay.
Like I had to encourage the wedding industry to drink more.
We know that you're an incredible leader. What would you say makes a good leader?
I don't think I was for a long time.
What?
And Mexicans make good leaders
Why do you say that?
because of what my wife's family has taught me. Because
Okay.
I was the young, ambitious, tread
Yeah.
on everybody. I'm going to be the senior executive, blah, 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 and, get out of my way. And they taught me about life and what's really important. And I've been just humbled by people, poor people. So I hear so often, and it's such a cop-out. I heard it even when I asked the other day, what are the barriers to being more innovative, more creative? Somebody said, money. No, right? I was in the Derby slum 6 months ago. Have you seen Slumdog Millionaire?
Yeah.
Slum really exists. There's 5 million people living in an area smaller than the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
5 million people.
That's crazy.
But let me tell you, the level of creativity and innovation that's going on in there,
Huge.
because it needs to see, that's why I love entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are very creative. They need to be. And so I think the leadership lesson is, so my wife would tell you, worst listener on the planet. I'd like to think I listen, but I know that's a lie. Listen to other people. And so diversity. You live it. We all. It's such bullshit. The political correct. Oh well, we'll have our token quota of African Americans, lesbian, gay people. We'll have. Oh, we've got to have a Hispanic.
Yes.
Bullshit. Diversity is innovation. If somebody looks different to you, they think different to you, and they will help you think differently.
Right.
It's called common sense.
Yeah.
It's. Yeah. I think the most humbling lesson of for me is. Ed Catmull, second in charge at Pixar. Creativity doesn't follow job titles, it just comes from where it comes from. And so take time to, because you don't know where that big idea is coming from. And if you shut people down by saying no because, they'll only come to you once. If you say no because, they ain't coming to you a second time.
No.
And so if you have young people in your organization, here's the other thing I think is from 1900 to 2010, the senior people told the junior people how to do things because we had the most experience. It's changed. And you can learn as much from the young people as they can learn from you. And so, for example, we did an experiment at Disney.
Yeah.
I just got all the senior execs. I said, because in a meeting they would shoot down something they didn't understand: virtual reality, augmented reality, drones, blockchain, artificial intelligence, Snapchat, because they didn't understand it. So I thought, well, because they're not going to stick their hand up at a meeting, so I don't know what Snapchat is, right? And so I said, okay. So I drew up I put out an email. I said, who loves Snapchat? Who loves drones? Who loves blockchain? And hundreds of people, oh my God, I love it. And so I created a list I called them your Snapchat guru. And they would come to your office in the privacy of your office. So you didn't have to admit you didn't know what Snapchat was. And they would come to your office, yes, but 3 times, 3 hours. And they would come in the privacy of your office, no PowerPoint presentations, no why is this good for the business? It's like, give me a damn phone. Let me download it and I will be your best friend. I'll be your first friend. And they would here's the thing, the junior person got to meet somebody that it would have taken them 10 years to meet otherwise. And the senior person got to know a piece of technology they would never have understood. And it just started to collapse and flatten the organization. It was nice. It was good.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I also know you have design thinking methodology. Have we gone over some of that already, or is that completely separate?
We have design thinking. If you say design thinking, design thinking, I must pay him lots of money.
I know
It's common sense.
Okay.
Start with the consumer first. Understand their pain points. So, for example, if we started this project in 2008, as most companies do, how might we make more money? Right? If we were Disney Parks, you put the gate price up 2%. Everybody complains. You make more money, 2%.
Right.
But instead of that, we use that tool, What If, where we listed all the rules of going to Disney. It's hot, it's humid, I have to buy a ticket, got to meet Mickey Mouse, got to watch the 3 o'clock parade, have to eat a turkey leg, got to watch the fireworks show, Have to do character breakfast with Anna and Elsa singing Let It Go. Got to see my favorite rides. Have to stand in line. And instead of saying how might we make more money, we said, what's the single biggest consumer pain point of visiting Disney?
Lines.
It's lines. So we said, stupid question, 2008. What if there were no lines? What if there was no line to check in? What if we did away with the front desk? What if there was no gate at the entrance to the park? People thought I was mad. And I said, well, hang on a minute. Imagine a world where we might make that work. I said, well, RFID technology already exists. All we're going to do is put a small plastic band on people's arms, an RFID chip inside it. It's their room key. They don't have to stand in line to check in anymore. They swipe to get into the Magic Kingdom. Don't stand in line. You've got your reservations for your favorite attractions and character meet and greets. You pay. If I want to pay for my iPhone, I touch it once, it goes to my hotel room. Touch it twice, it goes to my house. If I want my hot dog for lunch with my pickles on the side, light mayo with garlic, and then and I'm going to Pinocchio's Village House, safe, boom, pocket. I walk into Pinocchio's Village House. They know I'm here. I touch table 47. Food comes fresh to me. Now, don't forget, had we started the project with how might we make more money, we'd have made 2% profit margin because we'd put the gate price up 2%.
Right.
But because we started with the consumer pain point, on average, the average guest has somewhere between 90 and 120 minutes free time a day that they didn't have 4 years ago. Have you been to Disney?
I have.
Right. What do you do with your free time inside a Disney park? What do you do?
I am constantly on to the next.
Right. But you wouldn't have to be. So here's what you do. You spend money.
Right.
Right. Single biggest revenue generating idea since Disneyland opened its doors on July 17th, 1955. No significant capital investment. Of course, it was capital investment, but compared with a new attraction, no new land, no fireworks, no new parade.
Right.
And then big data. Every second of every day, you are telling us what you like and what you don't like, and every single product and service. Well, we're crowdsourcing our future products and services.
That's
simply
true.
By, instead of saying how might we make more money, just design thinking. Address the biggest consumer pain point. What's the most important thing to them? And back to, we talked about Reexpress, Duncan Wardle and his choice of words. It's interesting because everybody here thinks they're in the wedding industry. But what if you paused your brain for a second and ask yourself, if we were in the memory industry, how would you approach what you did different? I'm not saying you are, but what if you were?
No, but
what if you were in the storytelling industry? How might you approach what you create next differently? And just by simply putting yourself, I'm a wedding planner. No, you're a storyteller. You're a memory maker. You're a fairy godmother. There, see, that's what, right? You're a fairy godmother, right?
Yeah.
But if you're a fairy godmother, now what permission does that give you to think of different ideas?
So much permission.
See, there you go.
Yes. I want to be a fairy godmother.
There you are. You should
All
be
the
a fairy
time.
godmother.
I love it.
You have three parents. You have your mother, you have your father, and you have the Queen. And I will be as distraught when she passes as either of my parents. And I love her to pieces. Elizabeth is the love of my life. I just adore her. And I worry for Britain when she goes.
Yeah.
I really, because she's always been there, right? She's just that rock of stability.
Yeah.
She's been through 14 US presidents.
Wow.
Started with Eisenhower.
Wow.
And hopefully she'll see the next one out. I'm sorry, did I just say that live?
My father is British, and so when Diana passed, we had like 3 days of mourning in our home.
I know, right? God,
Yeah.
yeah. It was much more impactful than I thought it was going to be. Yeah.
Definitely. What does the future of events look like? Events have really burst into life the past 10 years, but what do you think? Do you see anything in the future that you feel like this is what events are going to look like in the future?
More authentic.
Okay.
More real. Perhaps less ostentatious. Because this generation are looking, but the great news is this generation, they're not going to buy a house, they're not going to buy a car, they don't need to, they'll have self-driving cars, and they'll rent them, and you'll share your car with 10 other people, and your car will pick you up at your address and drop you off at your office. Then the algorithm will be built to pick me up and drop me at my office. And then I was working on the car of the future with a leading manufacturer, and so this car, you will, if you sign into the software, when you get into your car at night, and you're now soft wired into the local community. Your car knows it's your anniversary, but you've forgotten because you're male. Your car knows your wife's favorite flowers are sunflowers. Okay. Your car knows where the nearest sunflower seller is. Text the sunflower seller, and your car is automatically programmed to pick up your sunflowers and go home, and you look like a hero. And so everything's going to change. But this generation that's coming under, I think we talked about it with a lovely lady yesterday. Oh, what was her name? She was gorgeous. Emily Campbell. About sustainability, about giving back, about purpose. They will demand sustainable products. they will demand. I think they'll demand giving back. So people have spent a fair amount of money on their weddings.
Yes.
I'm not so sure that will be the most
will in the
important
future.
thing. I think it would be more authentic, more real, more giving back to the local community, more. I think it's just going to get a bit earthier with the next generation.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's still the ability to tell stories.
Yes, you're telling
Still
the story
the-
of
yeah,
the girl.
yeah.
I feel like a lot of creatives do get excited about new ideas, or they have this great new idea after they go through the what if or the yes and.
Okay.
But then presenting it to the client,
So
yes,
Right.
tell me.
So when you present to the client, where are you? Close your eyes. Where are you when you present to a client
I'm
usually?
in my office.
You're in an office. Close
Yeah.
your eyes.
Okay.
What does the room look like? Tell me what's in the room.
The room has a pretty white desk. It has a couch.
Okay.
It has
So your client's there.
yes.
Where are you seated?
I'm seated behind the desk.
Oh, fail. And where are they?
They're
On the other side. Oh, shit. Right. American Idol.
Yeah.
What did Randy, Paula, and Simon used to sit behind?
The desk.
Right. And what were Randy, Paula, and Simon?
The judges.
Bingo. The moment you sit on the other side of a physical object to somebody that you're talking to, they will think reductively and judge your work versus thinking expansionously and building on your work. This is the most powerful, other than yes and, right?
Yes.
So you can't remove the desk, it's there, but take your client for a walk. Get up, put your storyboards around the room. Don't do it. How many digital presentations have you sat through so far this year?
Right.
Print them out. Put them on easels. Stick them on the wall. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Remove the desk from the equation. Even if it's there, you just invite them to come with you, and off you go. You're doing two things now. Number one, now you're telling a story
And you're taking them
because
on
you've
a
got
journey.
bingo. But the moment you've removed this, instead of thinking reductively about all the ideas I don't like about what you've just presented, they will build and they'll go, you listen to them, try it with a friend, and they'll go, oh, do you think we could add, oh, should we add this? Oh, yeah, what if we did? And as you go, they will build on your work. Your final recommendation may need to change,
Yeah.
but they've already bought into it. And it doesn't work 99% of the time, it works 100% of the time.
Wow.
Try a presentation with a friend. Don't
Okay.
tell them what you're doing.
Okay.
Do it first behind the desk and
Okay.
listen to their reaction. And then do it that way
Take them out.
and listen to their reaction.
Ooh, so good.
It's very powerful. Cover your final recommendation because we know your clients will read ahead,
Yep.
but do it that way. Next thing, close your eyes. How many days are there in September?
Oh.
Oh, come on.
I don't
You said
know.
it. Come on.
30.
Yes. How did you know?
I guessed.
Okay. How many? How did you know? How did you know?
The song.
The song. What songs? Come on, sing a song.
30 days after September.
What?
All the rest. Yes. See,
I didn't know there was a song.
Well, that's because she was at the front of the class and you were at the back.
Oh,
So,
man.
You know this one?
The necklace?
Yes. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. You were absolutely not paying any attention in class. And then some people would just close their eyes and go, oh, I can see it. I can see it on the calendar. Chances are your preferred learning style is auditory because you learned that rhyme, let's say 5 years ago. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt. But when I asked you the question, you instantly remembered it that way. Other people in the audience the other day, they were boom. They
Okay.
instantly remembered it that way. That tells me your preferred learning style is listening, their preferred learning style is doing, and the visual learners are like, their preferred learning style is visual,
Okay.
right? So when you're presenting to your client,
Yeah.
your preferred learning style doesn't matter.
Think about theirs.
Yes.
How do you
So
find out theirs?
You don't. You engage all three.
Okay.
Visuals are
Okay.
very strong, right?
Yeah.
Auditory, you're talking, but by getting them up and walking, they're doing, and they're
Okay.
adding value.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'll take 10% of your commission.
Perfect. We're gonna get a little personal here. Where do you feel most inspired and creative?
Gosh, everywhere. Look, come on, look. You
I
just
know.
look, right? I mean, how could you not be creative here? Everywhere. Everywhere is stimulus.
But you travel a lot.
I do. Oh, wait.
We got some good music.
Okay,
may
so
have to-
we'll go with the music. We'll make it work.
Okay.
Wait. All right. So, have you ever? So, you go to your favorite restaurant
Yes.
2 or 3 times a year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. You get
More
hold of the
than
menu, right?
Yeah.
You read all the appetizers, right?
Uh-huh.
And the main courses
Yes.
and the desserts. Listen to the specials, right? Yeah. And then what did you order?
What I love.
What
I get every time.
Yeah, chicken
Yeah.
tikka masala right here.
Yeah.
What's yours?
I
Come on, girl, own it. Churros. What do we got?
yeah, I love quesadillas.
Oh, okay. So you order the same thing every time.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Miguel's.
so
That's my favorite.
hands up if you sleep on the same side of the bed every night,
Yes. Same.
even when you're in a hotel room in Cabo by yourself.
Yes.
Right? Own it. Own
Yes,
it. We are
yes.
sad creatures.
Double.
Where's your office?
My office is in San Diego, literally.
Oh, you're in San Diego. Is it
Yeah.
near your house?
Yes.
Okay. Do you commute the same way every single day?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, have you ever got home and you look at the door of your apartment or your house and there's that split? Oh, how'd I get here? On the way you're home, your brain shut down physically because it got bored. It knows the florist you're going to go past. It knows where the traffic light is, and it got bored. So, no new stimulus in, no fresh ideas out. So, if you commute the same way to work every day,
Take the ferry.
so one day a month, one day, pick a different route. If you listen to the same radio station every day, pick a different one. One day a month. This is an easy one for anybody to do. One day a month, first Friday of every month. Stick to it. 8:30 till 10 with your team, however small, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Brown bag breakfast. They all come in, they bring their breakfast with them, and for an hour and a half, you want them to just talk about what they've seen in the last 30 days that they think is innovative or creative, something they've seen. No PowerPoint presentations, no why is it good for the business,
Yeah.
just because they'll talk from their heart. You'll be amazed how many ideas you can link back to that breakfast conversation. It's about getting fresh stimulus into your lives. And so Steve Jobs, when he designed the Pixar campus,
Yes.
it's designed around unplanned collaboration. It's about bringing people together who would normally meet to have a conversation they're not supposed to have, to just spark a new idea. And so that's the great thing about travel, is you bump into lots of different people and have lots of different ideas.
Time.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Love it. We believe in celebrating every tiny victory, big or
Okay.
small.
Okay.
How do you celebrate?
I have been known to drink.
Okay. Okay.
I've become a hugger. I was
Okay.
so British until I met my wife. I was like, okay,
Yes.
personal
British,
space,
do not,
do not. And now I just hug everybody.
I love it.
I love hugging people.
I love it.
It's
What
cool.
would you say is your most spectacular success?
My children,
Yes.
yeah, and my wife.
And what about them is
They're my source of energy. They're my source of power. I got home. So I get a bit tearful sometimes.
Yeah.
When I go home off a flight, and there's 4 cars in the driveway, I will get tearful because I don't get that much anymore, right? And so, and it's just a source of energy. And so, I make them get up and watch the Macy's Day Parade if they don't want to. We've done it every single year.
we're doing
We get our
it.
hot chocolate, and so my daughter's 23, my son's 21. They still get a stocking for Christmas.
Oh.
Every single year they get a stocking because it's important. But the problem is, they'll be out partying till 4 o'clock in the morning. So I have to set my bloody alarm clock to wake up when they're now asleep.
Oh, I
So,
love
yeah.
it. I love it.
So here's a trick for your clients.
Yes.
Oh yes. So how to earn new business strategy coming up. Usually brought to you by Sydney Novotny. Genius of a woman. Genius.
Yes, she
Genius. And so real and so lovely. What was your favorite childhood toy?
My favorite childhood toy. Taking me way back.
Yeah.
My Little
Hopefully.
Pony.
Little Pony.
Yeah,
Okay.
I love
So
My Little Pony.
if I invited you into a client session, right?
Yes.
First time we're meeting,
Yes.
and I said, hey, could you draw your favorite childhood toy for me?
Yes.
And they will, right? You'll learn more
true.
about that person through the Little Pony than the vice president of sales. And you connect on a different level because we both had a favorite childhood toy. But then you keep it.
What was yours?
Lego.
Lego.
Oh, Lego. Yes. Yes, Lego.
Okay.
But then you keep that painting and you go buy the toy.
Yeah.
The single best Christmas bonus you can ever buy an employee, right? It's not money.
Yeah.
Right? So you mail it to their house with their picture. You
Yeah.
say, you are creative, thank you so much for all your help this year.
Yep.
And you mail them their favorite childhood toy. It says, do not open till Christmas Day. You will get grown men on tricycles. I've seen it. I've seen it.
I love
And
it.
they'll be crying because you
Oh.
went to the effort to buy their favorite childhood toy.
That's
It's a powerful
so
tool.
special. That's so special. And Duncan, our last question for you is: dreams do come true if?
Oh, Walt Disney, if you can dream it, you can do it. So, or Henry Ford, whether or not you think you can or think you can't, you're probably right. So when I said, hey, I'm going to send Buzz Lightyear on a space shuttle, I hadn't had a conversation with NASA. When I said I'm going to take the turkey from the White House to Disneyland, I had not asked the President of the United States of America. When I said I'm going to build a full-size swimming pool down Main Street, USA, and Michael Phelps is going to swim down it, I hadn't asked Michael Phelps. I love the ones where you've only got a 50-50 chance of pulling it off. But you have to believe you can do it. If you don't think you can do it, so Muhammad Ali.
Then you never will.
Muhammad Ali would get, before the fights, my generation, sorry,
Yes.
but he would get up there and he goes, Joe Frazier, going down in the 6th round with a left hook. He could see his victory. And Joe Frazier would go down in the 6th round with a left hook. And so you have to, whether or not you think you can or think you can't, you're probably right.
Yep, it's true. Thank you so much for joining us, Duncan.
Thank you very
I
much.
so appreciate it.
Good luck with printing that dress in 10 years from
Yeah.
now.